My name is Jess, and today I'm going to be talking to you about gender inequality and feminism in countries around the world. Gender inequality is present and prevalent in most countries around the world today. Many modern societies are built upon a patriarchal hierarchy which favors male power over that of women. In these patriarchal societies, men are given control of both the public and private spheres of life, which often leaves women powerless and oppressed. They are not given the ability to control their own lives. Giving more rights to women would better the world that they are currently living in through a phenomenon of girl effect, which I'll explain in a little bit. Women's rights also encompasses the idea of intersectionality, that is, the interconnection and interaction of various related social issues present in the modern day world. Due to this intersectionality, improving any aspect of women's rights such as education, employment, reproductive rights, sexuality, sexual rights, and beauty politics will lead to the improvement of human rights as a whole. Although men and women are biologically different, they both have the ability to do the same things. Therefore, at the most basic level, they're both human and should be treated as such. Education is the key to social change. Without education, women cannot fully understand and comprehend the depth of the inequality that they face daily in the society in which they live. Without it, women cannot know the necessity of education for everyone. As the saying goes, knowledge is power. Education gives women the power to change their situation. Nicholas Kristof and Sheryl WuDunn, authors of the book Half the Sky, state that of the 115 million children who have dropped out of elementary school, 57% are girls. That percentage in numbers based off of the population today equates to 65,550,000 girls, which is a huge number. The authors also state that educating women helps raise economic productivity and contributes to improved health and nutrition. It increases the chances of education for the next generation. Educating women ensures that they will in turn educate their own children because they want their children to be able to change the world as much as they have. If all these benefits come from simply giving girls an education, why are they not getting it? Because in a patriarchal society, men are given preference in school. They are the ones expected to get jobs, while women are expected to stay at home, care for their children, and they don't need an education to do this. Because of this, girls are pulled out of school at an earlier age than boys, even if they are able to attend school. But if society educates its girls fully, they will go on to better the lives of all those who are living within the society, and this is known as the girl effect. Girls being educated changes the society that they are living in, which in turn betters the society for girls in the future. In the book written by Kristof and WuDunn, A Path Appears, this book centers around the idea that talent is universal, but opportunity is not. But if we don't give women the opportunity to learn, they can't cultivate their natural talent. But women have just as much intelligence as men, and therefore should be treated with the same respect, not only in regards to education, but also in other parts of life, like the workplace. Historically, women or men have been treated differently in the workplace, even when the same level of education has been achieved. They have been put down, their efforts devalued, because work and its subsequent income could possibly give women the ability to be economically separate from men. Because of this oppression, the term glass ceiling has come about, which is the idea that there are various barriers that prevent women from working from advancing in their field. They can see where they want to be, but they can't get there because of that glass ceiling. This, in turn, feeds into the gender pay gap between women and men. The percentage that women get paid in relation to men varies by country. The difference can be as little as 3% in some countries and as large as 51% in other countries. In the United States, a woman in the workplace makes an average of 23% less than her male counterpart. As stated previously, men have power in the public sphere of life, the public part of life. This includes the workspace. Therefore, women are expected to do work at home, which constitutes about 75% of their workload, in addition to any work they choose to do outside of the home. Even though women are doing about double the amount of work as men, they are getting paid for only half of what they're doing, if that. According to the UN, access to decent employment is a basic human right. Decent employment is that in which women are comfortable, make the same amount as men, and are not discriminated against due to anything that might make them different from their male counterparts that they work with. Discrimination in any form shouldn't be present in the workplace, regardless of gender or sex. Women should not be treated differently, nor paid differently, simply because they are biologically different. Thankfully, this has begun to change. Julian von Mittelstadt and Semhai Shafei noted this in their article entitled Lifting the Veil. They write that in today's society, the way women perceive have changed, as has the way they perceive themselves. Again, this cycles back to education. Because these women are educated, they can fight for equal pay, which they can use then to fund their children's education, thus making the cycle grow stronger. As the same article states, the woman will change this country more than anyone else. This holds true for every country. Differences do not separate women. They unite them in their fight for equal human rights. These women fight daily for their basic rights not only in the workplace, but in other areas of life as well, such as the home. Also, sexual rights and the right to express one's sexuality are essential for women. Ana Rossetti, a Spanish poet, summed up a woman's experience regarding sexuality in an epithet of her poem, "To a green corduroy suit that wanders around perturbing the boys," which states that no man owns his destiny, no woman owns her heart. A man's destiny is controlled by some higher being or by fate, while a woman's heart and destiny is controlled by men. She is expected to be feminine, but not overtly sexual, pretty, but not hot, womanly, but not too much so. Her sexuality is not her own, but rather a communal domain that is easily influenced by societal pressures. Women are expected to be inherently heterosexual according to society, which directly contributes to lesbian and bisexual invisibility. This can have detrimental effects on women who do not fit the norm, as they do not understand why they feel different, which leads them to conceal their sexuality. Women are also held to an unreasonable and unachievable standard of beauty where, like sexuality, anything outside of the norm is unacceptable. Although men are held to some standards of beauty, they are not at the same level as those for women. For example, in Southeast Asia, the Padang women are expected to wear rings around their neck from a young age in order to stretch their necks out. This is their standard of beauty. In African tribes, girls stretch their lips out with round plaits, which must be worn in front of men and can only be taken out at certain times, because the tribe as a whole believes that this is beautiful. Weight can also be tied into beauty in some cultures. For example, in America, skinny is beautiful. In other countries, thin represents a lack of food, so weight denotes wealth. If a person is wealthy, he or she is more likely to have food and therefore will be heavier. But these standards are not always achievable or require some type of medical intervention and wealth to be achieved. Women pay a lot of money to attempt to achieve the unattainable standards of beauty in their countries, but this should not be the case. Women, in short, need to be educated. Every single right that a woman has that is not to the same standard as those of men can be bettered through education. For education gives a woman the ability to stand up and fight for herself and for what she believes in. It is only with an education that a woman can join forces with others in order to break down the patriarchal societal structures that so many societies are built upon and demand equal rights for all. For women are human and therefore deserve the rights that men have, the basic rights that men have. Women should not be held to unreasonable beauty standards. They should be allowed to express themselves. They should not have to worry about getting basic reproductive health care, which is a necessity to survive. They should be comfortable in the workplace knowing that they are making the same amount of money for their work as their male counterparts. And most importantly, they should be receiving the same education as men. Because women's rights are not on the same level as men's, human rights overall are suffering. Women are just as human as men. Shouldn't they be treated as such? Thank you for listening.